Hi guys, 15th January 2018. It's finally winter time in Poland. We got something like -7 degrees Celsius, so that's something like 19.5 Fahrenheit. Not that cold really, but cold enough. And if it's cold, it's good to start a fire. Remember, a few months ago I showed you the magnesium rod and this monster ferrocerium striking rod, and today we'll be making the mother of all fire starters. We'll drill this out so this can be attached inside. Both of these items can be bought either on eBay or on AliExpress, although lately on AliExpress, I don't know, they've been banning the sale of the ferrocerium rods, or some call them magnesium rods. This is not magnesium, this is ferrocerium, so it's iron. It's really fine particles of iron with an addition of cerium. Sometimes there is a bit of magnesium added to this, but the main component is iron, and this is pure magnesium. So with this will be a handle, but you will be able to scrub a bit off and use that as kindling. It has a very high burning temperature, so it's an excellent fire starter even if you have slightly wet material. So let's see how this turns out. So as you can see, a friend of mine used a turning machine to make a precision bore hole which fits pretty closely to the diameter of a ferro rod. Using hand tools it might be a bit difficult, especially since you won't be probably able to get a drill which is close to the diameter of a ferro rod. Here, using the turning machine, you can get this to a very exact dimension. I was even thinking about doing a press fit, but then again decided it will be better to glue this in with some two-part epoxy, which you'll see later on. So let's just watch some slow motion video of a magnesium being turned. Of course we'll save those shavings for later for testing how it burns, and let's continue to the gluing. So we have our ferro rod, we have our nicely machined magnesium rod, really nice hole, although it's gonna pose some problems, you'll see in a minute. So it fits in quite nicely. Now we take our two-part epoxy. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to open the tube normally, so I opened it on the back. Mix the two parts 1-to-1. It's 10-minute epoxy, so gotta do it quite quickly. Mix it up really well. Okay. And we fill in the hole with epoxy. Although as you will see in a minute, I used a little bit too much and it formed a seal. So the ferro rod was working like a piston and compressing air inside and was being pushed back out. Try to work it in, turning, but nothing worked. Of course, could have used some hand press and just leave it till the glue hardens, but didn't have that around, so decided to remove a bit of that excess glue. Still trying to work it in, but finally decided to remove some of this glue. And now also had to work it in a bit, turning, twisting, But finally the seal was broken, some air escaped, and as you will be able to see, the rod stayed in there. Of course, this is the 10-minute epoxy, so you can just hold it for 10 minutes until it hardens. But as you will see in a minute, I decided to use some rubber bands. Of course, clean off the excess, which will be easier to do now than later when it hardens. Okay, gotta get it nice and clean. As you can see, it's still trying to push back out, so I guess I will need to use those rubber bands. Best yet is to use some of those woodworking clamps, but didn't have any handy, so use just regular rubber bands, hold it in place, and that's it. So this is the finished mother of all fire rods. Quite large, can use it as a kubotan for self-defense. Might also want to add a hole here, some lanyard for hanging it up on your neck. Very large. With something like this, you can hand it down to your grandchildren and it'll still be working. So tomorrow we'll run some real tests, see how this baby works out in the field. So be sure to subscribe and watch tomorrow. That's it for now. Cheers.